I was better organized to have some music playing as I was prepping the show to go live. So, all right, just about ready. This is Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran, coming to you from the new media production studio. The lead stories include Double Dragon Time. Yes, we got some folks on the International Space Station on their way back as I speak. Elon Musk may have just gave up 10% of his stock. $65 billion broadband plan. Excuse me, $65 billion broadband plan. Will it really help? And NASA solar probe getting hammered by space dust. I want to welcome you to episode 1567 of the Geek News Central podcast for Monday, November 8th. This show is sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com and listeners just like you. Great deals from GoDaddy can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. You can support this show today at geeknewscentral.com/insider by becoming a Geek News Central Insider. Hey, I want to give a warm welcome to all the new listeners of the show. Thanks for being here. Thanks for checking the podcast out. Make sure you get over to geeknewscentral.com. When you're on your website, all you got to do is get subscribed to the show or follow via the links on the right-hand column. Everything is there, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, subscribe on Android, iHeart, Stitcher, Blueberry, JioSaavn, Ghana. Just the list goes on. Definitely check them all out. Check all those links. There's got to be a place there where you consume podcasts or your favorite podcast app. Make sure you get subscribed to the newsletter while you're on the website. That'll make sure that you get all the information about this show immediately following every episode. That email will include all the show notes and everything that's included in the original podcast episode post. Of course, you can always contact me via email, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. And you can follow me on Twitter at Geek News. I'm on Facebook as well. Just search for my name, Todd Cochran, friend or follow me there. And, of course, we have a chat room at geeknews.chat. You notice the branding, geeknews.chat. You can be over there and hang out with all the cool kids. Discord as well. We even got a Slack channel for like the super private behind the scenes. All you got to do is send me an email if you want to join that. Of course, all the partner shows at linked at geeknewscentral.com. That includes the new media show. We've been off for 2 weeks. I was gone. Rob was gone. Then this week we'll have a show. But things are going to shape it up. It's kind of weird because next week I leave for Honolulu. But we'll do what we can. Also got the Gadget Professor with Mr. Don Bain. We've got the Podcast Legend Show, which is really kind of a pod-faded podcast. GNC Week in Review by Scott and Kirk, which they do weekly. Definitely check those all out. Again, linked at geeknewscentral.com. This show, of course, is sponsored by our good friends at GoDaddy. They're the longest continuous running. They are and are currently, did I say that twice? Longest running continuous sponsor of a podcast. And we're going to thank them for their ongoing support of the show. geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. I have deals really there for anyone looking to save money. You want to save money? This is what you got to do. When you're thinking about a domain name, a hosting account, redoing your business site, whatever it may be, I got a 30% off code on new product purchases. I've got a $4.99.com basically price for new or transfer domains for new customers only. That's a one-time shot. You get to use that promo code once in a lifetime. $4.99.com on newer transfer domains for new customers only. Of course, a $2.99. Yes, a $2.99 a month economy hosting plan for the first year with a free domain, and a $2.99 a month managed WordPress hosting plan for the first year, again, with a free domain. Still one of the absolute best deals in web hosting out there. These are the two codes. These are the two deals that you want to really lock in and save money. If you're getting ready to start a new website, a blog, a podcast, you have an idea while you're in the shower, wherever inspiration strikes you, you can, and I repeat again, get the best deal of web hosting available with a managed WordPress hosting site or an economy hosting site. Again, $2.99 a month for the first year, includes a free domain. Of course, we got a business deal as well. Free trial of GoDaddy Website Builder, your choice of personal business or business plus plans. That's a 30-day free trial. Give that a check out. And of course, Geek News Central listeners save a lot of money by using my promo codes. You're supporting the show here directly when you do that. And we want you to make sure that you save all kinds of cash. Now, for those of you that are live and watching the live, make sure you say hello. Jim, how you doing? How you doing, my friend? Long time no see. And thank you for being here, watching the show. If you're watching the show live, make sure you say hello. We want to hear from you while we're live. We're live on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Where else? I think that's it. But definitely check wherever you're watching. Make sure you say hello in the comments or retweet if you're on Twitter, whatever it may be. So just get you kind of caught up here. Yes, No Shave November continues. I'm doing okay. I'm past the itchy stage. I had an interesting thing happen on Saturday. I went to, someone had advertised something in basically a marketplace. And what it was, and this is going to blow my Navy friends away, was I'd seen these for years, used them for 25 years. White shipping containers where we put gear in, and inside the white shipping container was basically a shock mount and then straps to put gear on. These things are like just common. That's what they ship stuff. Military ship stuff in shipping containers. And somebody in my local community had picked up a lot of these at a DRMO somewhere in the East Coast and brought them back here and were selling them. They must have got them cheap. They're selling them for $25 a piece. And I was kind of scratching my head because where I worked before, sometimes we'd run short of those things. And how those ever ended up in DRMO, I have no idea. But of course, I had to have some. They're not waterproof, but they make for great storage containers of stuff. And so when I went over there, the lady was basically there doing the wheel and deal, and she looked familiar to me, and she was talking, and basically I finally recognized who it was, and they had an instant, not necessarily instant, but I had a recall of what her name was, and she said, "I didn't even recognize you behind your disguise." I'm thinking, a beard is a disguise. It doesn't change my looks that much. But anyway, I picked up a couple of those containers, $25 a piece. They were cheap. I didn't really have room for more in my car. I may have to go back and get a couple more. Just astounding price, and for a hard case storage unit. And I wouldn't ship anything in them because they're not really designed. There's no padding in them. They're designed to be a piece of equipment set on it, strapped in, and then banged around. And I would never ship I'd stuff those things full to the gill if I was ever going to ship one. But anyway, it's kind of funny that my beard is now a disguise. But I worked on the loft, on the compound. It's going through a transformation and moving furniture around, resetting things up. A little bit of furniture. I picked up a couple of pieces of box furniture and went through the frustration of putting some of that together. That sucked. But it was an absolute beautiful, beautiful weekend here in southern Michigan. It was really incredible. And but there's supposed to be snow on Thursday. So today I went over to my tire dealer and had him pull the snow tires that they held there in storage. It's kind of cool. Small town, and the tire dealer actually holds my winter. I buy tires from him, so it's where I get replacements. So it's not like he's not making any money, but he stores my snow tires through the summer, and he stores my summer drivers during the winter. Now, why do I have two sets of tires? Well, the Ford Edge did not come with street summer drivers, and really the way the rim is set up, it's really not designed to really have a good all year round tire, which most people drive on. But anyway, got my shoes changed on my car today. And I'm prepared if it snows on Thursday, so we will see. But meanwhile, it's 55 to 55 to 65 over the weekend. It was fantastic. But you're all not here for that. You're all here for a podcast. So let's go ahead and get into the tech. Got a good show lined up for you. Kirk did a great job getting the show prep done. And feeling pretty good as a very, very, some days, it was a Monday, right? Some Mondays are just absolute chaos. Today, I got an absolute metric pile of work done. And just everything was in the zone. I actually had an appointment cancel in the afternoon, freed me up just to continue on cranking. So I feel pretty good about the day. Not ready to collapse. But one thing that I failed to do was I went to the refrigerator today to grab myself a Red Bull. And guess what? The refrigerator was empty. So no Red Bull tonight. I have to go off pure pure energy. So 'tis what it is. All right, let's go ahead and get into the stack. First thing up. Do any of you remember Neopets? Well, there's an article over in Geek News Central that talks about it, where millennials are logging back into Neopets. New York Times, an article which they talked about people who've returned to their long-abandoned Neopets accounts during the pandemic. Some of the people who did this are in their 20s and 30s. The New York Times described the renewed interest in Neopets this way. Many former users returned to their dormant accounts in the last years, driven by boredom, nostalgia, or a desire for escape. The site's team reports a 30-40% spike in usership in the months following March 2020. For an uninitiated, Neopets is like Animal Crossing meets Pokemon meets early MySpace. The platform allows users to explore a charming click-based universe and rear magical pets while building their own web pages and socializing on glittery chat boards. I even played around a little bit during the pandemic with Second Life. And, I still have an account over there. Matter of fact, I need to check that thing. But, yeah, Second Life is still a thing, and it's still full of weird stuff and weird happenings, and many of it rated R. But it's kind of odd. I don't know why I went over there, but I had rented some land, and because I had built somehow my account had accrued credits, and I was rich in in-country cash, and built a prefab house and a bunch of other stuff. But anyway, it's just that's what it is. But yeah, so I guess I reverted to and played around on Second Life. I think for about 2 hours. That was probably about the amount of time I spent over there. How about you as a millennial? Did you go back and play around with Neopets? Well, as we record this show today, Double Dragon, NASA plans a SpaceX splashdown, which is going to happen in just about 3 hours. And they're going to do Crew 3 is going to launch on Wednesday. So the Crew 3 launch has been delayed. There's been weather. There's been some medical issues with one of the crew members. It says a minor medical issue. So I guess they're going to be home tonight. The Crew 2 is going to land at 10:33 p.m. Eastern. And they haven't said yet whether the vehicle is going to land in the Gulf of Mexico or Atlantic Ocean. I did see YouTube TV, SpaceX channel was alive and well. So this is going to be a dark evening landing. So it should be pretty spectacular, I would think, if they catch the reentry. Now, one thing's for sure is all of you many of us, unfortunately, set our clocks back. So essentially, it gets dark crazy early. Some of you will go to work when it's dark and come home when it's dark. I really, really despise the time change. It's one of the things I still haven't got used to. Hawaii does not change their clocks. But yet here we are again with this insanity. But here's something that you'll feel really good about. Those astronauts that are returning today, well, they're wearing diapers. And why are they wearing diapers? Well, it appears there's a broken toilet on the Crew 2 craft. And so this issue was first found in a different capsule during a September mission. It was during the Inspiration 4 mission, and a tube came unplugged. Urine spilled onto the capsule floor. And it's the same issue on the Crew 2 craft. Crew 2 will. So basically, they can't get the hose to stay connected, appears. So I'm sure, SpaceX can get you to space and back, but they can't get. It's always the toilet, right? It's always the toilet that breaks. So I think, when I was flying in the Navy, and this is to be a little too more graphic here, flying in P3s, we really didn't have a toilet. We had a honey bucket. And after flying for so many years, I developed strategies, let's just put it that way, which usually involved a last-minute dash to the bathroom to make sure that I was set, not from a number one standpoint, because we had a place to go pee, but I was set for the next 10 to 12 hours from a number two perspective. It didn't always work, but you can develop strategies. So I bet you these astronauts develop a strategy for their return to Earth. I know I would, because that, my friends and gentlemen, would be really bad. Not only from a crew perspective, but from a I need to get out of this suit perspective once you land. Oh my goodness. So but here's a simple fact. When you got to go, you got to go. So yes, the crew's wearing diapers on the way back. All right, Elon Musk, the world's richest person. Well, he's not the world's richest. He basically has said that he is considering, because of legislation that's being considered by the Congress and taxing billionaires, where billionaires are going to be taxed on 10%. This is the proposal. 10% of their tax holdings. They're going to be taxed on that annually. And he says, so what am I going to do? Give up 10% of my Tesla stock? And it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing. But 57.9% of people said that he should sell 10% of his stock. He says much is made lately of unrealized gains being a means of tax avoidance. So I propose selling 10% of my Tesla stock. Do you support this? 57.9 said yes, 42.1 said no, with 3.5 million people voting. And he said he would abide by the results of the poll, whichever way it goes. Now, this is an interesting move, because if he did that, I believe he would no longer be the major stockholder. And I don't know if I would do that. Oh, excuse me. He owns around 17% of Tesla stock, currently worth around $200 billion. So I would assume he's one of the major stockholders still with 17%. So 17% of it, 10% of it would take him down a little ways. But still, he would have to pay a huge, big capital gains tax on that money. And I don't know. What do you guys think? If you build a company through thick and thin, and you hold stock, and you hold it, and you're not taking a salary, do you not think that person deserves to be rewarded or taxed to death? I know I'm just a little bit torn on that, to be honest with you. Because, what if you become successful and build a company and have a significant percentage of stock, and it's worth unspecified or with a specified value? It's more money than he'll ever need, that is for sure. But does that mean the government should just take it? If you're holding the stock, because stocks goes up and down, right? Something goes crazy, they blow something up on the pad, the stock goes down, right? They successfully launch something, the stock goes up. That's the risk you have. And he holds the risk in holding the stock. I don't know. I've had mixed feelings on this. What say you? geeknews@gmail.com. geeknews@gmail.com. Love to hear your comments on my thoughts here. I don't think this 10% stock thing is going to go through. Wyden's proposal has already been kind of poo-pooed. But can you imagine every year facing 10% annually of your stock holdings has to be paid in tax? That to me is just it's just a little bit crazy, because he'd have to sell stock every year to pay that tax bill, and just to sell stock just to pay Uncle Sugar. I don't know. It would mean, and this is only for billionaires, it would mean billionaires would no longer be billionaires for very long. The insane amount of money that Congress approved to have to spend here recently, this past weekend or Friday, included $65 billion in a broadband plan. This is the biggest amount of money that has ever been spent to help expand broadband. The biggest portion of the broadband spending is $42.5 billion for a broadband equity access and deployment program that would give subsidies to ISPs that build in unserved areas. We've heard this before. Another $14.2 billion goes to the Affordable Connectivity Fund, that is essentially a long-term version of the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program created for the pandemic. Under the new version, subsidies for eligible households would be $30 a month instead of the original $50. Another broadband provision gives $2.75 billion for digital equity grants to states to facilitate the adoption of broadband by covered populations in order to provide educational and employment opportunities to those populations. Grants can cover a variety of needs, including training, broadband equipment, and public access community centers for covered populations through community anchor institutions. Covered populations include low-income households, racial and ethnic minorities, rural residents, veterans, people with disabilities, people with language barriers, and people who are 60 and older. There's also $2 billion for broadband grants and loans distributed by the Department of Agriculture under the Rural Utility Service. $2 billion for tribal broadband connectivity programs, $1 billion for middle mile networks, and $600 million in private activity bonds for broadband projects. Now, here's the problem I have. $65 billion is $1 billion for every state. $1 billion or more, 1 point something billion for every state. Do you really think by the time this is all over with that me, 1.2 miles away from a broadband head where I could plug in and get high-speed internet, where I'm living rurally, do you think that will bring that high speed to my doorstep? I doubt it. I really, really doubt it. I don't trust these people. They've historically not spent this money well, and yet the Coxes and the Charters and all those groups have gotten rich off these broadband subsidies, and then basically said, oh, we spent $300,000 to bring, this service to 10 people. I just don't trust them to really make it happen. If you think about it, $1 billion should be enough to bring broadband to every person in every state. $1 billion should be enough money to expand, to dig cable. All they got to do to expand broadband is lay in cable. $1 billion in the state of Michigan would allow for a lot of cable. Now, there's going to be some equipment and all that stuff. But the big cost, really, especially when you have populations that are not dense, is putting in the cable, putting in the fiber. I tried to pay for the fiber. Well, I know what the cost is. It's $12,000 to $14,000 to bring that cable 1 point some miles. That's what they would charge me to lay that cable. I wasn't willing to pay the bill. But I just don't. We'll see. We'll see where this goes. I hope they prove me wrong. But I don't think so. I don't think they're going to do it. Now, again, it's only $42 billion for broadband equity access and deployment. So it's not quite $1 billion per state. But there's a bunch of us that have been waiting for Elon Musk and Starlink because we don't have any faith that broadband is going to be brought to us at any time in the near future from any company that tries to do it. My God, you look at the company I'm paying $90 a month with right now. I'm getting 15 megs down on a great day, and maybe 2 megs up. When my Mac tries to do an update at the house, it's like 3 days or 4 days to download the update. Yes, I said that right. 3 or 4 days to download the update. So I'm not convinced. I'm really not. Time will tell. NASA solar probe bombarded by dust causing dangerous plasma explosions. The Parker solar probe mission to touch the sun was apparently always going to be a bumpy ride. Now, I want you to check this out. I didn't realize that this thing was moving literally like a bat out of hell. But at this point, the probe, well, it's getting a boost. In October, Parker used a Venus flyby to gather more speed and get even closer to the sun. The spacecraft is expected to achieve its next record-breaking, what they're calling it, perihelion on November 21st. And at that point, the probe will be traveling, listen to this, at 163 kilometers per second or 101 miles per second. And will be around 8.5 million kilometers from the surface of the sun. For reference, Mercury is less. Mercury is 7 times farther away at 36 million miles. But if you think about this probe that is cruising at 101, yes, I'm repeating that, 101 miles per hour, per second. That bad boy is moving. Now, that said, because it's moving so fast, as it hits dust, which there apparently is a lot, tiny particle dust, a quarter the width of a human hair, and generated by asteroids and comets, are locked in a forever dance around the sun. And, of course, Parker whipping around the sun at almost unfathomable speeds, constantly collides with the grains as they hit its metallic body. They heat up, get vaporized and ionized and become plasma. Basically, Parker is being bombarded by dust at such speed that its body is constantly experiencing plasma explosions. And they're worried about that. One of those, to keep this probe straight and keep it out of the sun's eye, per se, and not get blasted because it's got this big, protection thing in front of it. They're worried that one of these plasma flashes will cause the spacecraft to tilt a little bit, which would cause the satellite to instantly get vaporized. So those results are concerning for Parker's safety. And the team noticed how some of the impacts would knock pieces off Parker, paint chips, metal that would affect the probe's navigational cameras. If they reflect off at the right angle, they'd reflect sunlight right into a nav cams, blinding Parker for a moment. The wrong kind of impact could be fatal, blah, blah, blah. But And what blows me away about this whole story is not that they're running into space dust, but it's moving at 101 miles per second. Woo! And Doug says in the chats it's going 0.05% of the speed of light. That's crazy. Gordon, no. Tethering off my cell phone at the house doesn't work. That doesn't work either. I'm in the country. I'm in rural America. 1 bar, my friend. 1 bar is what I have at the house. So that's not even an option. So yes, and I'm only 13 miles from a town. I'm only 1.2 miles from high-speed broadband. You have a Robinhood account? Robinhood has announced a data security incident. 5 million customers, their email addresses, and some other information was resolved or was revealed in a social engineering hack. And the person was digging for certain folks. Limited number of people, approximately 310 additional personal information, including name, date of birth, and zip code was exposed. 10 customers having more extensive account details revealed. There was no social security numbers revealed, apparently, but don't worry. They've got those already in other leaks. So once again, social engineering. That's how they're getting in. This is the biggest gateway to corporate hacks there is. So it happened yesterday, so that at least they did a good job of getting the word out immediately. I've never used Tripadvisor, but Tripadvisor CEO Steve Kaufer to lead post in 2022, and a search is on for his successor. So he had a great run. And transferring a company with a small office over a pizza shop in Massachusetts 20 years ago into a global household name brand. So I'm sure he's retiring a very wealthy man. Apple's worldwide national security report shows a drop in data requests during the 2020 U.S. election. Still, the company's regular transparency report shows that governments globally are asking for data on the tens of thousands of Apple device owners. So, Monday, this was details about data requests from governments, companies, and people in litigation around the world. The tech giant said government requests had targeted 83,000 individuals, just under half as many as the same time a year ago. Apple is often kept from sharing details about government data requests, but did say it provided data 77% of the time, slightly lower than 80% at the same time a year earlier. Apple's data indicates a surprising drop in government data requests despite the fixating spectacles of the 2020 U.S. presidential election. 4 years earlier, hackers spread stolen emails and other embarrassing material across the internet, spawning conspiracy theories that persist to this day. During the 2020 election, social media companies, including Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, said they ramped up efforts to tamp down on disinformation, blah, blah, blah. Germany again made the most requests, asking for 16,819 device owner names, down from 19,000. The United States was the second largest, asking for 11,581 user information. What else? China rounded it out the top 3, asking for 11,372 devices. Those folks, if you're in China and the government asks you about your device, you probably don't exist anymore. Apple said national security-related requests made by the U.S. under the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act targeted as many as, 24,499 accounts. Wow. That's amazing. Apple said national security-related requests made by the U.S. under the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act targeted as many as 24,499 accounts, which can include stores, photos, emails, contacts, calendars, device backups. Apple said it received as many as 499 national security letters from the FBI for subscriber information, targeting as many as 999 accounts. Apple said it does not produce transaction information or connection logs in those instances, but they get the backup of your device, so what? It's all there. Wow, 24,000 were targeted under FISA. You wonder how many of those were U.S. citizens. It really makes, that doesn't make you go, wow? It makes me go, wow. That's a lot, in my opinion. Motorola reportedly prepping for Edge 30 Ultra with Snapdragon 898 with a 68-watt charging capability. Could it be among the first with Qualcomm's newest chip? Yes, the Snapdragon 898. And no idea on time, price, but it is said to have 144 hertz FHD plus OLED display and two 50-megapixel cameras on the rear, and a 5,000 milliamp battery. So we will see when this comes, for those of you that followed that line. Security software McAfee has been acquired for $14 billion. The investor group is buying the company. The investor group buying the company is taking it private. That's interesting. So that's a big deal. Of course, McAfee was founded in 1987 by the now crazy, I think, late John McAfee. Didn't he die? And become known for its computer antivirus software. He left the company in 1994, and the company was acquired by Intel in 2010 for $7.68 billion. In 2014, Intel announced it was phasing out the McAfee brand for the security software and rebranded it as Intel Security. Last October, the company returned to the public stock market, and McAfee said in the announcement that it will continue as a pure-play consumer cybersecurity company after selling its enterprise business private equity firm Symphony Technology Group. So anyway, McAfee was found dead in a prison cell in Barcelona in June. So not long after Spain had approved extraditing him to the United States to face tax fraud charges. So anyway, $14 billion. U.S. has charged a Kaseya, K-A-S-E-Y-A, Kaseya hacker and seized $6 million from our evil ransomware gang. And they've charged a 22-year-old Ukrainian citizen. He basically made the mistake of going to Poland. And when he did, he was arrested. He was arrested in Poland at the request of the U.S. government. Is currently being held pending U.S. extradition proceedings. Vasiniski, who used different names online to avoid detection, is accused of being a longtime affiliate of the now defunct Our Evil ransomware operation and of deploying 2,500 attacks against businesses worldwide. Most notably, apparently this group's ransom demands are said to have totaled $767 million. Oh, and is accused of being a high-profile attack on Kaseya, which impacted more than 1,500 businesses. So, when government decides to come get you, they're going to come get you. Okay, next up, the company that owns, I think it's called Rivian, R-I-V-I-A-N. They're going to start selling electric vans to non-Amazon companies in 2023. Plus fleet versions of the R1T pickup and R1S SUV are going to be sold. So Amazon is not going to have exclusive rights to the vehicle. That's interesting. The bumpy EV startup, which is slated to go public this week, is at a valuation of $50 billion or higher. Quality announced the details about its fleet sales plan in a new section of its website that went live Friday. It also said it will sell fleet versions of the R1T electric pickup and the R1S electric SUV, meaning will compete with Ford's commercial version of the F-150 Lightning, as well as fleet management platform called Fleet OS and a charging infrastructure solution. So selling electric delivery vans to commercial fleet customers other than Amazon could help them make a lot of money. So this is probably going to bump up their valuation for the public offering. So very interesting, and we'll see what happens there. Facebook is considering retail stores. Yes, retail stores. Why? Well, they want you to buy VR and AR hardware. They said most people don't have them because most people can't afford it. That's why. And they need super powerful computers to run it. So they're hoping to change that by launching a string of retail outlets to give people a chance to try it themselves. Huh. Really? It's part of their conversion to Meta. What say you about that? Huh? This is big. NASA's big new moon rocket is stacked, awaiting launch. So the final stages of its rehearsal and checkouts of the Artemis 1 moon rocket, the first rocket of its kind since the Apollo program, before an uncrewed launch from Florida around the moon planned for early next year. Matter of fact, sometime in early February, the 322-foot tall SLS rocket and Orion space capsule are completely assembled and stacked at KSC. You know, Orion is a good beer made out of Okinawa. Yeah, if you haven't ever tried it, please do when you get a chance. But the Orion capsule, which is now all stacked up, is getting ready to do its final assembly tests before being rolled out to the pad. And they got quite a mission. They're going to go out to 40,000 miles past the moon and do some testing out there, then return with a splashdown. So they got a full-on plan for this thing. So we'll see. Once it launches, NASA will collect data first from its rocket and then for weeks from capsule as it orbits the moon, flies 40,000 miles past, returns to splashdown. And, of course, NASA wants to go back by 2024. We will see. But February 12th to 27th will be the dates that they're planning on lighting that candle and see what happens. Alphabet, Google's parent company, briefly hit $2 trillion today. It's now hovering at this time at $1.98 trillion, but was just over $2 trillion mark today when their stock closed at $2,987.03 a share. Why don't they split that stock like 10 or 20 times? I don't understand why they don't do that. $2,987 for a single share. If they want to spread the wealth, let's split that thing about 25 times and make it so that the rest of us could afford to buy some of that. So, of course, Alphabet had a record quarter earning a hefty $65.1 billion, and the company reported that its revenue soared by 41%. No surprise there. While its profits jumped by almost 69%, Google search saw a slight increase in profit, blah, blah, blah. And, of course, big tech boomed, and Google definitely is as well. $2 trillion. PepsiCo says its first Tesla semi-trucks are coming this year, despite Elon Musk's warning of delays. They expect to take delivery of its first batch of Tesla semi-trucks by the end of 2021. The company's CEO told CNBC it's part of a plan to cut transportation emissions. Tesla said in July to push the semis launch to 2022. But we'll see. So your next bag of Doritos or case of Mountain Dew could arrive at a store by way of a fully electric Tesla semi. We will see when. And Pepsi says transportation about 10% of our overall gas emissions. So they're trying to reduce that. So it'd be cool to see those trucks on the road. Disney Plus will let you watch Shang-Chi and 12 Marvel films in a large IMAX format. You'll see a smaller black bar on your TV during IMAX sequences. I love IMAX, but you got to have a good sound system to really take advantage of it. But you're basically going to get more picture than what you would get on a normal widescreen 1080p or 4K. It's more compressed. So very, very cool. And they've got a picture on their website in this release that shows you how much more you'll see when you get IMAX enhanced. So I think it's pretty slick. Link will be up in the show notes for you to check it out. Anytime you get IMAX on your own television screen is awesome. Walmart is using driverless trucks to complete a 7-mile delivery loop. It's between a fulfillment center and stores in Arkansas. I got a fulfillment center just 4 miles north of me. It has a lot of people in this community working there. It appears to be like $22 to $25 an hour. So great job for this area. Of course, you can almost now get a job at McDonald's for $16 or $17 an hour. So they may have to up their salary rates at some point. But Walmart's doing fully driverless trucks. It's down in Arkansas. It's a route in Bentonville, Arkansas. Involves intersections, traffic lights, and merging on dense urban roads. The company said it's another shot of good news for the progress of self-driving vehicles after GM Cruise launched its self-driving taxis into testing last week. So I still want my car. I want to get my car and say, take me here. And I want to sit back and surf the internet while it's doing so. But not yet. You think about Christmas, thinking about buying something, or it's not available? How about a digital gift this Christmas? Well, Apple One, Xbox Game Pass, YouTube Premium, Disney Bundle, HBO Max, Headspace. There's all kinds of things you consider. Code Academy, that would be a great one. It's a $240 annual subscription. Skillshare, that's another great one, $180 annual subscription. These are tools and programs that people can actually improve their lives about instead of breaking the toy in 15 minutes. Parallels Toolbox is another one that's out there. 1Password for password control. All kinds of cool digital stuff you consider giving for Christmas. Link will be up in the show notes. There's an article by Engadget. Link will be up in the show notes. Remember AMD? I run AMD chips for a number of years. And to be honest with you, I was, even though I own Intel stock, I was a big proponent of AMD. And the chips never, and this was when I was running Windows, this is ways ago, just seemed like the stability of the operating system was never as good. Are some of you AMD fans still? Love to hear from you, but they've dropped 128 core, so that's pretty amazing. And they've unveiled a 768 megabit L3 cache in a chip series called EPYC Milan X. And it's got an M2150X GPU and GPU. AMD also shared details as its 5-nanometer TSMC process it will use for the new Genoa and Bergamo chips, claiming it provides twice the density and power efficiency along with 1.25% more performance than the 7-nanometer process AMD uses for its current gen chips. I think Intel's well into 5-nanometer. For those that are developers out there, Apple's going to continue to accept App Store submissions throughout the holiday season. Usually they give big notices saying when things are going to be slow, even in the podcasting space. But apparently their workforce is global enough that they're not going to have to do that. Roblox reports third quarter 2021 financial results and just knocked it out of the ballpark. Revenue increased 102% over quarter 3 to $509.3 million. Net loss attributed to common stockholder for Q3 2021 was $74 million. Net cash provided by operating activities was $181 million. Bookings increased 28%. Average daily active users were 47.3 million. Hours engaged were 11.2 billion, an increase of 28% year over year. Average bookings per DAU was $13.49. So looks like they had a great quarter. PayPal reports a 13% revenue increase in the third quarter and announces a Venmo deal with Amazon. So the company issued a fourth quarter forecast that fell well short of analysts' expectations. So they did earnings per share was $1.11 versus $1.07. Revenue $6.18 billion versus $6.23 billion. Total payment volume rose 26% to $310 billion for the quarter ended September 30th. The company added 1.3 million net new active accounts. I moved some money through PayPal myself. Did today as well, as we started billing for the Podcast Awards trophies that people order extras of. U.S. IT jobs slow because of too few candidates. Let me say that again. U.S. IT job growth slows because of too few candidates. If you're looking for a job, businesses would have hired even more IT workers if they could, especially developers, cybersecurity staffers, and compliance experts. Even so, U.S. IT job growth is still in record territory, with 4,800 positions being added. That's down 8,900 positions were added in the revised September figures. Overall growth in IT position comes as the highly infectious Delta variant continued to hinder overall job growth. So August saw a surge of 25,000 new jobs on the heels of about 18,500. So if you're, I'm telling you, this is the space to be in right now, unequivocally. NASA and the USGS released the first stunning images from the new Landsat 9 spacecraft. I see this, and I'm like, oh, okay. I know it looks at big swaths of land. I'm kind of, have had exposure to, real satellite images. And then I see this, and the real satellite images I can't talk about. When I see this, I go, oh hum. But no, it's Landsat is not designed to be an intelligence asset. It's designed to be a research platform. But they're all available online via the link in the show notes. So definitely check that out. So this is going to bring me to the end of the show. And I do want to talk. I got an email from Dan. He says, hey, Todd, just a heads up. T-Mobile expanded their network recently for home internet, and to my surprise, available in my area of my small town of 1,500. Thought I would send this to you since you said you may have deleted the original since you talked about T-Mobile in the last show and never mentioned the email I sent to you if you were in the area to get T-Mobile home internet. Well, Dan, I sent you an email back. No. No, I ran the zip code, and no, not eligible, not with one bar. But thanks for the heads up. I do appreciate it. They're trying, but I'm somewhere way down the list on Starlink. Well, Starlink's having trouble building terminals. So I have no hopes of having a Starlink terminal anytime before sometime next year. I just don't see it happening. I don't think I was that quick to order. I can only hope and keep my fingers crossed, to be honest with you. But if I get my Starlink in December, I will be crawling out on the roof and putting it out no matter what. But I don't know if that's actually going to be the case. So the biggest holiday in Michigan happens this coming Monday. It's deer season time, ladies and gentlemen. Deer hunting season. Bow and arrows back in, but rifle hunting starts on the 15th. For any of those of you that are interested, those of you that hunt, you already know that date. But I'll be back with you next Monday night. Don't worry. But got another show for you this coming Thursday, as normal, as planned, on schedule. And again, I do fly out to Honolulu on the 17th. I do a quick down and back. I do have to go to Columbus for a couple of days the following week, but going to continue to work to keep the show schedule running and flowing here. Thanksgiving is on the 25th. Obviously, no show on that day, so that's why I want to keep the episodes moving here so that we don't have too much of a gap. But it's been my pleasure to bring you the podcast tonight. Thank you so much for watching or listening, depending on how you're tuning into the show. geeknews@gmail.com. geeknews@gmail.com is the email address that you need to send it to if you have comments. And again, thank you all for being here. Thank you for watching the show or listening to the show. Thank you for your ongoing support as an insider and your ongoing support of the sponsor for taking care of us here and keeping the light bill paid and electricity and the rent and insurance and everything else. But we'll see everyone next time. Everyone take care. Bye-bye.